Rupees 200 per kg. That is the price of tomatoes today in Delhi in the month of August. Rupees 20 per kg. That was the price of tomato in the month of May in Delhi. What led to increase in the price of tomatoes? What is this phenomena called? And why does this happen? We are going to understand that in this video. Good morning everybody. Welcome back to our channel. My name is Karnima and today we are going to talk about the concept of inflation. What are the factors affecting inflation and what does RBI do to reduce the inflation? We will also understand why are the prices of tomatoes increasing and when will they decrease. Let's start with today's video with what is inflation. Inflation is nothing but a general increase in the prices of goods and services in the economy over a period of time. So when the goods and services that we as consumers are purchasing, जब उनके prices increase होते हैं, that is what we call as inflation. Why does inflation take place? Why do the prices rise? So the factors of inflation or the causes of inflation are divided into two major categories. The first one is supply side factors, which means when the supply of goods and services or commodities are affected, that is when supply side factors play a role in rising prices of goods and commodities. How does this happen? So let's say there is a shortage in factors of production. What are factors of production? Land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. जब इन factors of production में shortage हो due to any reason in the economy, that is when supply of goods and commodities is affected. That is when the prices of these goods and commodities rise. Similarly, supply chain disruptions. जब oil के prices increase होते हैं in any economy, when there is an increase in the prices of oil, that is when transportation cost increases, logistics is hampered. That is when we call it supply chain disruptions or supply chain bottlenecks. Similarly, जब cost of production increase हो जाए, let's say the raw material, for example, let's say tomatoes का price increase हो रहा है, what will happen? The burgers that you're getting in the in let's say McDonald's, the prices of that burgers will increase because the price of raw material, that is tomatoes, increased. That's when the increase in cost of production also increases the price of the final goods and services. These were certain supply side factors. Now let's come to demand side factors. What happens in demand side factors is जब consumer ज़्यादा goods demand करता है, when the consumer increases their demand, that is when the price of goods and commodities also increase. For example, there is an increase in the money supply in the economy, which means let's say RBI is printing more currency or RBI is supplying more rupees in the economy through its various measures. जब लोगों के पास पैसा होगा, इकोनॉमी में पैसा है, बोरोइंग होगी, ज़्यादा बोरोइंग होगी तो डिमांड ज़्यादा होगी. When demand increases, that is when the prices of goods and services increases. Similarly, rise in disposable income. Let's suppose मेरी income increase हो गई. In my job, I asked for a raise in salary and it happened. So my income increased. Because of an increase in the income, my disposable income, which is the income that I am going to use or utilize for purchase of various goods and services, that also increases. Once my disposable income increases, what will happen? The price of goods and services will increase. Why? Because I am demanding more goods and services now. मेरे पास ज़्यादा पैसे हैं. If I have more money in my hand, I have more disposable income in my hand, I am going to demand more. When demand increases, the price will automatically increase because supply इतनी है नहीं. That is how various demand side factors affect inflation or the prices of goods and services. Similarly, when government does more expenditure, government अपना expenditure बढ़ाती है economy में towards let's say the unserved section or to the rural section in the economy. When the government expenditure towards the economy, the public expenditure of the government increases, that is also when inflation takes place or the price of goods and services increases. So these were various reasons or the factors of inflation. Now let's understand what happens or what does RBI do when inflation takes place. So जब inflation बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, that is there is a huge rise in the prices of goods and services, what RBI does is through various measures like the monetary policy statements of RBI or the monetary policy committee of RBI takes various steps to reduce this inflation. One of the steps is by increasing its repo rate. So जब inflation बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, RBI tends to increase its repo rate, which is the rate at which RBI lends to banks. That is how banks are affected by inflation. When the repo rate is increased by RBI, that is when banks also increase their lending rate. अब क्या होगा? When lending rates in the economy increase, the borrowing in the economy will fall down, because ज़्यादा rate of interest पे कोई क्यों लोन लेगा? That is when borrowing fall downs. When borrowing falls or the borrowing reduces, that leads to fall in the production. जब हमने borrow नहीं करा, जब हमारे पास working capital नहीं है, how will we produce? And by we, I mean the supplier or the producer. How will the production take place? Therefore, production also falls. When production falls, the supply also falls. And what happens when supply falls? There is a constant demand. When supply falls, inflation tends to increase again. So this is an inflation spiral which an economy in general, goes through. That is an issue that a lot of economies face today. And RBI as an organization, plays a major role in this inflation spiral, or to curb the ill effects of inflation in the economy through its various measures that RBI takes. Now, let's talk about tomato prices. Why these tomato prices increased from the month of May to the month of July? What happened? From 20 rupees to 200 rupees. What happened? Why did these tomato prices increases? Let's start with the basics. Tomatoes, हमारे इंडिया में, they are grown in two seasons. The first is the Rabi season and we have the Kharif season. Rabi season also known as the winter season, and Kharif season is also known as the autumn or the monsoon season. So Rabi season में there are various districts of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. So these are the various districts of these states produce tomatoes in huge quantity. What happened? Because of heat or major heat impact, what happened? Pest attacks took place in their supply. Because of these pest attacks in the tomatoes, their supply got impacted. Now what they started doing was, in the month of May, even before that in the month of April, they started selling tomatoes at very low prices, as low as rupees 10 per kg, 12 per kg. That was happening in the month of April and May. Because unke supply pe, the tomatoes that they have, their storage got impacted because of pest attacks. What happened? After that, when the supply was reduced because of a pest attack, the demand was still constant, or the demand was more, and because of shortfall in supply, the prices of these tomatoes rose to very high. Now there is one more factor here, not just the supply, but also the production also started decreasing. Because in the month of April, the prices of tomatoes were as low as rupees 12 per kg in certain cases. So the farmers were not incentivized enough to grow tomatoes. They did not grow tomatoes anymore, or they reduced the production of tomatoes. बहुत सारे cases में जहाँ usually 10,000 acres में tomatoes grow करते हैं, this reduced to around 3,000 to 5,000 acres of land जहाँ पे tomatoes grow होने लगे. These are real case studies of farmers in India, especially in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. So these are the few case studies. That is why production also decreased and supply also decreased. अब क्या होगा? When production is decreasing, supply is decreasing, automatically the prices of goods, in our case the prices of tomato, will increase. And in the month of July, these were as high as rupees 200 in certain cities and states. Now, can we see betterment, or will the prices of tomatoes fall? Yes. After the Kharif season, that is after the month of August, a certain ease in the prices of tomatoes will be seen in the economy. That is one thing that we have observed and we know for sure, because UP Maharashtra ke Nashik district mein there are certain places that grow tomatoes in the month of or in the Kharif season. When this will be harvested, the prices of tomatoes will tend to fall. Why? Because supply धीरे धीरे increase होने लग जाएगी, and the supply increase will match the already increased demand. That is how the demand and supply will match, and from the month of August there will be a definite reduction in the prices of tomatoes. This was the case study of tomatoes. We also understood what is inflation, what are the reasons that inflation takes place, what is the impact of inflation. I hope you liked the video. In case any doubt, you can comment us down below. Thank you.